Okay, this time we're going into Hordes by Privateer Press, doing a Minions War Hog. Minions are my first Hordes faction, and what can I say, I've wanted to do a Bacon Brigade for a while. Starting on the Flesh Tone, 09044 Tan Skin. Gonna use a larger brush to get this done a little quicker. So a War Hog is a Pharaoh or Pigman model, functioning as a war beast and is a very large throwback of the normally human-sized Pharaoh, and is augmented with mechanical parts stolen from warjacks, which are combat robots that are the equivalent of war beasts in the companion game to Hordes War Machine. And you'll see a warjack video in a bit. Getting this all over the legs, leaving the hooves bare for now. When I get to the shading, you're going to see some of the tricks you can do by mixing up what you use to shade with. And the right leg is mechanical from the knee down, but the thigh up is not. Getting around the pipes here. Yeah, this guy does have a big old boiler implanted into its back. Inside of the mouth is going to be a different color altogether. That's good for now. A little more on the tail. Gonna let that dry a bit. Okay, now that the first layer of the flesh tone is dried, we're going to move on to some of the other skin here. Starting with the inside of the mouth, I think. It's not the one, there we go. It's going to be 09002 deep red. That's probably a bit much. It's going to go kind of on the roof of the mouth here. Down in the throat. It's probably going to be another color in the end. And can't quite tell, but there are quite a lot of details inside the mouth here. We're just going to try to get as many as I can. The tongue inside of the cheeks here. The other side of the tongue. And while that dries, we're going to move on to a couple of secondary skin tones. Using, I think, yeah, rosy skin. Gonna go over the snout and the nipples. And to specify, this is a male model. This might be a bit too light. I might have to redo it in a sec. Just gonna go over the snout here a bit, too. And hit the inside of the ears, I think, while I'm at it. Give that a different color. Okay. Yeah. Might go ahead and redo that a little later on, but for now, let's see, where is the brown? Gonna do the mane, the beard, and the tail next with Shield Brown. That's 09161. And just hit the beard there. And the mane. That's just a bit too wet. At the tip of the tail here. And that's good. Looks like the red is dry. I'm gonna go ahead and do the tusks, teeth, and the organic hoof. Again, that's gonna be 09143 yellowed bone. tusk here. And this other one is split up a bit with some ornamentation. It will be a different color. Missed a spot. Missed a spot there too. Carefully. See. Carefully get these tusks in the lower jaw. There's the teeth down here. Okay, I thought there were more teeth. There's a few in the upper jaw. You just don't see them too well. It's got it. Yeah. And then we'll do the hoof on the left leg since the right one is completely mechanical. Okay, that's pretty good. And the color I used on the snout, nipples, and ear is a bit too light, so I'm going to do that again with a slightly darker shade, Rosy Shadow 09067. Dot that on right over where I painted before. Yeah, this is better. Bit lighter than the tan skin on the rest, but not too light. That looks a lot better. And then go ahead and do the cloth on the loincloth. That's gonna be, let's see here, Templar Blue 09056. This triad's a nice color for denim. This does have some armor on it as well. That'll be a different color. Probably more than one color. And with the severe undercuts on this cloth part, this could be another case where you could argue it's better to do a partial assemble then paint, then do a final assembly and attach to the base. I chose not to. What I'm doing now is just kind of cleaning up where I got the color on the wrong part. Using just a lot of water, get it wetted really well and absorbed with a paper towel. Fixes it pretty quick. That's got that. I'll go ahead and do the rope. Gonna use 09110 oiled leather. Do this rope he's got around his belt. It's way too much paint. Just a thin little bit here. Got a couple of heads he's wearing around his waist as trophies. Both look like heavy warjack heads. One from the Signor faction, one from the Kador faction. That rope painted up really good. Again, pretty much just a thin line. Cat's got that. Now I need to give this a bit to dry and move on to some of the metal. Alright, moving on to the steel. It's going to be 09206 tarnished steel. Get that shaken up. Should be plenty. It's going to go in a lot of the functional mechanical parts. It's a bit too thick. Go. Get on the struts on this right leg. Go ahead and put it on the metal hoof here. Put it on that big screw. Get it on the hydraulics inside this arm. the fingers on this hand. Yeah, this part's going to be other colors. Go ahead and do this axe blade. Then I'll do this ornament on this tusk. Different. Gonna do part of the smokestack. Looks like flesh. Go ahead and do some of these other pipes coming out of the body. Too much water on that one. It's alright. Do these pipes here, but the coal box itself is going to be a separate color. suppose technical word would be furnace. Let's see, the armor on the loincloth is going to be a different color. Go ahead and do these big bolts in the neck. I'm going to do this screw on the shoulder armor here. One on the opposite side. That armor itself is going to be a different color. These big screws on the shoulder. Go ahead and do this one on the kneecap. And the one on this plate above the ankle. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and do all these staples all over his body. Yeah, this guy is literally duct taped and stapled back together. Along this bicep too. Just trying to make sure I've got all these staples before I move on. Looks like I'm okay. Now for the other arm. Just got that hand. Go ahead and do the pommel spike here. Axe blade. Looks like I got exactly enough paint to do what I need to do with this. And missed a few staples right here. There's a strap of cloth. Pull the armor down on the left arm. I'll just go ahead and do that in the same color as the loincloth. That Templar Blue 09056. Just need a tiny bit because it's just one little strip. Just right there. Okay. Then go ahead and do a few details on the head. I'm gonna use 092. What is this? Label's faded quite a bit. 09203 Blood Red. I think that's right. Number label's faded pretty good. Had this one a while. It's gonna go on this head here. Trophy head from looks like a Khadorn Warjack. And then this arm is also from a Khadorn Warjack. I'm gonna do one piece of the armor this same red. Do the rest another color. It's pretty good. Now the other head on his belt, gonna use 09188 Ultramarine Blue. Because this looks to be a head from a Signar Heavy, probably an ironclad. And that's a little bit more. That's got it. Go ahead and hit some of the bronze now. Yeah, 09197. It's old brown, or old bronze, something like that. It's not a real faded label here. Need a fair bit of that. It's sitting there upside down, so the paint will go to the bottom of it. That on that rear joint there. It's all right. Part of this steel hoof. Knee joint there. And go ahead and carefully put it around this second part of knee joint. It's fine. And this connector here, the thigh, looks like it's just screwing on to the rest of the leg. And here's a very important piece. This little bit is the, quote, aggression dial system that, when activated, basically floods the War Hog full of steroids and other drugs, giving it a boost of strength at the expense of taking some damage. Do this raised spiked part, the armor right here in the bronze as well. The rest will be a different color. Go ahead and do the furnace now. And then the other part of these trophy heads. Do the top of this smokestack. top the other one. And this plate in the front of it. And this to this part where the arm connects to the shoulder. And then part of this joint. Work on the handle for the axe. It's too wet. Get these pipes. Get a little more bronze. Way too much water. Taking care of the other axe handle. And I'm just going to go ahead and have the rest of the axe match the armor. piece of jewelry. I'll get into this cap on this tusk. And this band in the middle here. Good, and then he's got a nose ring. Just like that. Yeah, that's good. We'll go ahead and use a little more steel. Pick out a few of the spikes here that I missed earlier. One on the elbow. And these on the belt. And do this one on this head. Okay. Let that dry a bit. Time to dry. Move on to the next one. Gonna do the armor now, using 09035 olive green. Careful in this arm not to hit any of the pistons I painted earlier. hit any armor for the loincloth here. That big noise that you hear is nothing to be concerned about. It's just the garbage man. And this knee here. Then this elbow. The rest of the armor on this hand. Got that. There's none of it on this arm. That just leaves these bits on the axes. And that's got it. Just one color left. That are these flexible hoses over the body. Go ahead and use 09005 Phoenix Red on that. Should be enough, there aren't too many of them. And these pipes just snake in and out from the hard pipes to the flesh. Calling the surgery is that these things go through to become a War Hog invasive would be an understatement. Over here, going from this bicep into this forearm. And another. Just taking a minute to make sure I've got them all, because this will be the last base coat. Okay, give that a bit and get on to shading. And have a lot of fun with that. Alright, shading time. Starting on those pipes I just finished. Gonna use 09004 Fire Red. That should be enough. Got those. Go ahead and do that Kadoran red next with 09002 deep red. Stabbing this on the top of the head over here. Then on that one plate right here. Let's see. Go ahead and do that rope. It's going to be ruddy leather, 09109. Go ahead and do the dark brown on the mane and the other hair. It's going to be wood stain brown, 09160. Whoops. Bit more. And the tip of the tail. Okay, and that's gonna have to dry a bit before I do anything else. Alright, moving on to the green now. 09034 Muddy Olive. I don't think I've shown this yet, so again, just getting this really wet, really runny. Do that bit. It's got that. Go ahead and do the ultramarine blue on that one trophy head. Gonna use ultramarine shadows 09187. Just a tiny bit. It's got that. What else? Well, not a lot I can do right this minute without messing something else up, so just gonna have to hold on a bit and let this dry. Alright, that last layer is dried enough to move on. I'm gonna do the bronze now with aged pewter 09196. Go ahead and do the nose ring first, why not? A little ornament on the tusk. With the aggression dial. Do this bit before I move on to the arms. just noticed I missed a piece of the green. This happens sometimes, easy to fix. Just take that olive green again. Just going to go over this foot here. I'll apply the shade of that in a couple of minutes. Just getting that bronze part on that hoof. Okay. Get these pipes on the, is that the right forearm? It's actually pooling up a bit much in these holes in this plate, so making sure to blot some of that out so a bubble doesn't form. Handle on this X. Should have exactly enough paint out to do this. Let's see. It's good. That other green looks dry enough to apply the shading. Take out that muddy olive again. Tiny little drop because it's just a little bit. Got it. Let's see here, what else we got? Dry enough down here, I can go ahead and do the loincloth now. That's going to be 09055 Brillon Blue. Start off with this little strip of blue below the arm here. It's got that. Go ahead and I need to get the skin before I do the mouth and the hooves. Can't quite sort the steel yet, so seem to nick a bit of the green there. That'll do it. Alright, let that dry. Alright, now this is dried, I can go on to the steel. It's going to be 09205 black and steel. Got a fair bit to do on this one. Go ahead and start on the leg. Get those struts. Move there, a little bit in there. There. Get that screw and that screw. Just got it. Carefully get these 3 spikes. The one on this head. I think I'll do all these staples last. The pipes, I guess. Finish off the smokestack here. Big screws in the shoulder. Go ahead and get the cap on this tusk. Bolts in the neck here. And that screw. That one. One. And that. Go ahead and start on these staples on the shoulder here. like on the elbow. And these pipes, hydraulics. Get the hand. Okay, now the other arm, this little pipe here. It's like an exhaust pipe. Get that down into this arm. Like that, and that screw there. It's got these fingers. Go ahead and do the axe blades. Now we'll hit up all those staples all over the body. Just here first, why not? Not too concerned about this spillover at this point, but I will get that a little bit. Do some funky things with the shading on the skin a bit here. You can kind of see on some of these recessed areas that they will really drink in this wash. Okay, let's see. Making sure I didn't miss anything. Looks alright. And do I want to... I suppose I can go ahead and do the roof of the mouth right now. That's gonna be... where is it? There we go. Red brick 09001. Don't need much of this. That should be enough. Just gonna go on the roof of the mouth. Side on the gums and on the tongue. It's pretty good. Alright, next is going to be the first of what's going to be at least 2 layers of shading on the skin. Just Alright, that steel dried enough. We can do the first layer of shading on the skin. It's going to be Tanned Shadow 09043. Get a fair bit, because this is going over all the flesh. Start on this thigh here. It's got the first shading on the flesh. So that just leaves a second flesh shading. And the teeth and other ivory. Wait for that to dry before I do the rest. That last layer of shading is dry enough, I can finish this up. I do the ivory with stained ivory 09142. That's just going to go on this hoof. Like that. Go ahead and do the teeth in the lower jaw first, including those fangs. That little row of teeth in the upper jaw. It's got that. Now I'm going to take another color and do a secondary shading on selected parts of the skin. I'm going to use Ghoul Skin 09148. This is going to go on the areas that are stapled together or otherwise adjacent to the mechanical bits. The surgeries that perform these aren't exactly done under sanitary conditions, and while the Pharaoh are a very hardy species, this flesh around there is not necessarily healthy. Get that. It doesn't matter much if this spreads beyond where I want it, that could actually enhance, so we're just going to take a bit off of there. It's going to go right around here at that edge where the fleshy thigh meets the mechanical leg. And then on that scar here, along this scar here, where the arm is stapled back on. Oh, just realized my hair was in the camera. I'll have to watch that next time. Go along this scar here. Get it along this one here and make sure it pulls up around the aggression dial. Kind of around these neck bolts. Up along the neck. Looks like this guy was decapitated at one point and again stitched back together. And again, just kind of around these big screws in the shoulder here. Down here around the base of these flexible tubes, where it's going into the flesh. And around these. I think that's got it, but just to be sure. Okay, it's got that. Next is dry brushing and detail. We're going to get started on the base. War Machine uses a distinct front arc to determine a model's facing and what it can attack. I'm going to start that by painting the front roughly half of the base with olive green. Should be enough. There's a big brush. So the front half of the base defines the front arc. We're going to go beyond that now and touch it up later. And I pick this base coloration based on faction. Okay. Go ahead and do the whites of the eyes now. That's going to be pure white 09039. Don't need a lot of it. Tiniest brush. And less. Carefully get that in the eye here. Like that. I'm not quite done with this. To carefully pick out the slats in the boiler. Like that. Then take this and just do the deepest recess of the smokestacks. Like that. We'll give those a bit to dry. Okay, that'll probably work. We're going to take 09006 Fire Orange and get this really wet. Turn this into a wash. Normally might wait a bit longer on doing this, but let's roll with it and see what happens. You got to experiment sometimes, otherwise you never improve. Just carefully gripping an area that's not wet. Tip this over, and it should be okay. Dip this down into that hollow recess. I think I just used two words that are synonyms. Just like that. With the impression that there's an actual fire going on in its engine. And I'm not going to do the pupils just yet. And now I have to wait for this to dry completely before I move on. Alright, now to finish up. Starting with the skin tone. Going tanned highlight. again, just getting very little paint on the brush in the end. Lightly dusting. You can see, especially here near the screws on the shoulder, how this two-tone shading works out. A little more on the scar leading up to the aggression dial. There's another area where you can really see where that two-tone shading makes it stand out from the rest. Get this really dry. And I'm going to use 09003, I think, blood red. It's on the inside of the mouth. Not a whole lot of that, just a bit. Roof, tongue there. That's pretty good. Ivory next. Gonna use 09144 Creamy Ivory. Really badly clogged nozzle here. It's better. And dry brush that over the hoof. No, the one that isn't made of metal anyway. Teeth in the lower jaw. Quick bit on the teeth in the upper jaw. Side there. Hit up the tusks. Probably the denim next. It's going to be Ashen Blue 09057. And these are all Reaper Master Series paints. It's got that. Go ahead and do the flexible hoses next. And using 09006 Fire Orange. Don't need a whole lot because there are only a few of them. Go ahead and do the ultramarine next using ultramarine highlight 09189. Tiny dot because it's just one little bit on this head here. Just like that. Go ahead and do the other red next. using, yeah, 09004 fire red. There we go. This one's almost out too. This head here. And on this secondary armor plate, the left arm. Okay, go ahead and do the green next. That's going to be Pale Olive 09036. There. That's a Seth Green. Go ahead and do the rope next. That's going to be burnt orange, 09111. There we go. Yeah, this one's about gone too. It's just going on the rope around the belt. Okay, go ahead and do the brown on the main. It's going to be Driftwood Brown, 09162. Let's see what's left. Go ahead and do the steel next. That's going to be 09207 True Silver. Making sure to get the staples that got muddied up during all the shading, but kind of the point, these aren't exactly clean. The tip of that tusk. And that just leaves the left arm and some of the pipes on the back. Staples over here, dry brushed. Screw, start on those pistons. Spike in yellow there. Got the pommel spike over here, easy to fix. Hydraulics inside this arm. And get this big old meaty hand that was likely salvaged from a Cato or Warjack. I might need a little more paint. And then this axe. Yeah, I do need a little more paint. And this War Hog has a crude salvage look because Pharaoh society relies almost entirely on raiding for everything. Highly mobile, and their settlements are quickly and crudely constructed with whatever they happen to have stolen. Maybe a little visual interest, I'll do these little clasps back here with a little bit of a silver highlight. Why not? Alright, that's got the silver onto the bronze. Again, getting this cleaned out really well and get it really dry. And that's going to be 09198 tarnished brass. That sounds like emergency service vehicles in the distance. Sounds like a fire engine. Hope it's not too serious. Let's see here. Alright, that looks like it's got the brass. Oh, almost forgot the aggression dial. Done right there. Okay. It's got it down to the pupils, polishing off the base, and basing. Except I managed to get the nose ring. Easy to fix. There we go. Okay. Getting back to what I said about War Machine Hordes having a front arc. I'll squirt out some pure black 09037. That should be enough. Go ahead and do the pupils first. Take tiniest brush. I'm not going to bother with colored eyes on this one. Tiny little dot kind of towards the front. Just like that. And there's a handy little thing for getting these arcs exact. Something Privateer Press puts out. It's a self-heating cutting mat. A grid, but it also happens to have markings for 50, 40, and 30 millimeter bases. So I'm going to get this thing centered in the 50 millimeter slot on this side. The other side is the same, but with War Machine iconography and in inches instead of millimeters and centimeters. Or do I have that reversed? Oh well. I've got this thing about centered. I'm using the tiny brush. It's going to draw a little line to mark the edge here of where I'm going to paint the back of the base. Really carefully. Do the same thing on the opposite side. And that tells me exactly where I need to paint. I guess it's inches on the Horde side and millimeters on the War Machine side. Okay. Get that out of the way. Take a bigger brush. And just being very careful. Making certain I do not touch any part of the model with this. Then that just needs to dry, and it's onto the basing. Alright, now to finish up. Gonna take a bit of pure white and just number the back of the base. This is for my own convenience during actual play to quickly tell different units apart. Generally just do this on things that can take more than 1 point of damage. Just a simple Roman numeral. And while that dries, get the base ready for the sand. And this is just sand from the garden supply store. Gonna take some Elmer's glue all. This looks a lot like the school glue, but there's a difference. Glue all's a fair bit stronger. So, a blob of that. This is just a lid from a small Gatorade bottle. An eyedropper, and then just getting some water out of my cup. It's okay if it's dirty. That open. And then I'll just take. Let's see what I got for brushes up here. To finish that. Use this one. Gonna get this really, really wet. Just mix this glue solution up thoroughly. You want about half glue, half water. Just going to kind of paint that around the feet carefully. It's going to flow around a lot. The bases provided with privateer press models have a lip, which is great for keeping this in. So let this flow all around the feet. Want to completely cover the bottom of the base. And then we're just going to dip it in the container of sand, shake it around a bit, shake it off. With the fingers just brush off the excess, and see it got a few places we don't want. I take the brush, really wet it down, and just brush it off. This happens, nothing to worry about. Easy to fix. Brush it away from areas we don't want the sand. And how you want to base models is a personal choice as much as anything else. Sand, flock, no real wrong way. It's pretty good. I think I'll do a little more on this. So I'm going to just make a bare spot there. Let that dry out before I do the last little detail I want to do on the basing. Alright, now this had a chance to dry, we're going to go ahead and add a little static grass to the base. It's going to go right in that little area I pushed out. First, I'm going to get this open. This is Hobby Tack Adhesive by Woodland Scenics. It's gooey, as you can see. I'm going to pull out some static grass. This yellowish goes a little better with the sand. Just going to take a little pinch here. And these tiny little scissors just cut off what I'm going to need. Okay, round it a little bit. Trim it up a little more. Dip this into the glue. Tap it more on that end. Gonna carefully plug that into that hole there. Gap I left earlier, and then that's garbage for that one. Carefully manipulate this up a bit, get it where I want it. Alright. Make sure this gets closed up. Okay. Gonna do a little more work on that. That has to dry completely before I can. Alright, now this is dry. Time to finish the last little bit. Just gonna take those scissors and trim this down. Okay. And the last step on any kind of basing with these materials, flock, sand, whatever, is to seal it. Otherwise, it's going to get all over the place. So this is Woodland Scenic Cement. Take an eyedropper, fill it up, and carefully drop it in and around. So yeah, this is getting it wet again, but when it dries, it'll basically be a hard shell. And it will seal any flock, sand, or other basic materials. And you don't have to worry about them going all over the place. Clean up the eyedropper very thoroughly. It'll take about an hour or so to dry. But all that's left is the varnish. And there it is. A Hordes Minions faction War Hog.